Hello, everybody. Now, let's start the third session on biodiversity. We have discussed two sessions on biodiversity for Prelims examination 2025. So, let's start the third session and let's look at the PYQs of 2024, the remaining PYQs, because today we'll try to complete all the PYQs on biodiversity which was asked in the year 2024. Now, the question reads like this. The first question: the organism cicada, frog hopper, and pond skeleters are birds, fish, insects, reptiles. Now, the correct answer is what? The correct answer is insects. They are all nothing but types of insects only. When you talk about cicada is a type of insect, and the longer period of its lifespan is spent underground as nymph. And why? Because it feeds on the sap of the tree roots. And when it emerges out of the ground, when it comes out of the ground, they develop into adults and then they mate, but they live for a shorter duration of time when they emerge out of the ground. But long part of their lifespan is spent underground where they feed upon the sap of the tree roots. So that's called as cicada. Frog hoppers, they are also insects. They are known for their jumping abilities. Hopper, you can say, always would be known for their jumping abilities. And as far as pond skaters are concerned, pond skaters are also called as water striders. They are also called as water gliders. So all three are nothing but types of insects only. A very simple question. If you know them, that's very simple as such. So first question is this. But let's have a similar question like this and make it more difficult. Which one of the following are called as 17 years? Now, very interesting. 17 years. Cicada, frog hoppers, the same option I've given, pond skaters, and water gliders. Now, the correct option is what? The correct option is cicada. Why 17 years? Because for 17 years of its lifespan, it lives underground. And lives underground means that it feeds on what? It feeds on the sap of tree roots. That's why it's called as 17 years, very famously called as 17 years. And when they emerge out of the ground, they develop as adults, they mate, and they die because they live for weeks only after they emerge out of the ground. So that's very famous about cicada. Now let's have another question like this, make it more difficult. Consider the following. Now, I have given you some pairs. First pair is Peluston, lives at air-water interface of water body. Second is Necton, lives on ocean floor. Third is Benthos, swims independently. And fourth is Neuston, lives right under water surface and floats on water surface. Now, what's the meaning of that? How many of the above are incorrectly matched? Now, if you look at the correct answer is what? The correct answer is B. But let's look at what we are talking about. When you talk about Peluston, suppose this is the surface of water. Now, Peluston definitely lives at what? It lives at the air-water interface. This is the air-water interface. This is the water body. It is, here is the Peluston living, this part. And many examples of Peluston. For example, just now we have discussed pond skaters. Pond skaters can be called as Peluston, falling under the category of, or also flying fish. They can be called as Peluston. So they come under the category of Peluston. When you talk about Necton, now this is incorrectly matched. Why? Incorrectly matched. Because Necton is not living on the ocean floor. This is wrong. And benthus does not swim independently. This is wrong. Just the reverse is the case. Necton swims independently. They do not require ocean currents to swim. So, suppose here whales and sharks would be present, big fishes. They would be called as what? They would be called as nectons. Definitely, they would be swimming independently. They have the force to propel themselves. And examples of necton would be including whales and sharks. But when you talk about benthos are what? Benthos live near the oceanic floor here at the bottom. For example, worms. For example, sea stars. They would be called as benthos. They would be referred to as benthos. And when we talk about Niston, it lives right under the water surface. Here it lives. Niston. It can come to the surface also and floats on the water surface. Definitely, it would be floating on the water surface. For example, snails, protozoans. So one can say that as far as Palestine is concerned, it includes pond skaters or water skaters, flying fishes. All this would be there. Newston would be including snails, protozoans, and they live right under the water surface and floats on water surface. Necton, they swim independently. They have the power to propel themselves like sharks and whales. And near the oceanic floor dwells the benthos, and benthos like worms, sea stars would be there. So what is incorrectly matched is necton and benthos. So only two would be the correct answer. I hope that's clear. Maybe sometime in UPSC they frame a question like this because they are asking you examples of this in examination. So they can frame a question like this. Definitely this would be a suitable question to be asked to you. Let's see another question. Now see, another PYQ, the last PYQ of the year 2024 on biodiversity was this. They have asked you, country and the animals found in its natural habitat. Brazil, Indri, Indonesia, elk, Madagascar, bonobo. And how many of the given pairs are correctly matched? None is correctly matched. Not a single pair is correctly matched. So the correct answer is D. Why? Because what is Indri? Indri is one of the largest lemurs. Lemurs are just like monkeys, primates they are. And lemurs are also keystone species. Keystone species are those which are required for maintenance of the structure of the ecosystem. They maintain the structure of the ecosystem. If you remove, the structure of the ecosystem would be disrupted. And why lemurs would be called as keystone species? Because the seeds of some of the plants, they have to pass through the digestive tract of lemurs in order to germinate. And lemurs, Indri is one of the largest lemurs, and this lemur is nothing but critically endangered. That's why they have asked you. Remember that lemurs are keystone species. Indri is critically endangered. But one thing, and where they are present, if they are not present in Brazil, then they are present in Madagascar. And one unique thing about Indri is what? That they are have vocal communication with other groups through singing, roaring, and it is the only mammal after humans which use rhythm. So they use rhythm also. Only mammal after humans. We use rhythm, and Indri also uses rhythm. So that here it is present in Madagascar. Elk is what? Elk is nothing but the second biggest category of deers, and elk can be seen where? It can be seen in North America. It can be seen in Central Asia. It can be seen in East Asia also, and one among the heaviest member cities. Now, bonobo is nothing but a type of chimpanzees. It's called as the pygmy chimpanzees. And we are very close to bonobo as far as genetic makeup of humans is concerned. Very close to bonobo as far as the genetic makeup of human is concerned. And bonobo is endangered. But where it is present? It is present in Congo, not in Madagascar as such. So all the three options are incorrect. All the three options are incorrect. Right? So that's about the PYQs which was asked. East Asia, very less it is present. Mainly it is present where North America and that's why this option would be incorrect. So how many of the above pairs are correctly matched? Nothing is correctly matched. But let's see. A question on deer as such. And when we have discussed elk as a deer, I have asked you a question. Let's see a question on deer. Now, hangul is the only species of red deer to be found in India. Consider the following statement. Second statement is what? According to IUCN, hangul lies in the endangered category. Great Himalayan National Park is the habitat of this animal. And fourth statement is the red deer inhabits Europe, Iran, and West Asia also. See, the correct option is what? Definitely this is correct. This is also correct. This is wrong. And this is also correct. Because the main habitat of hangul, which is also called, is the species of red deer, and also it is referred to as what? It is referred to as Kashmiri stag. It is the Dachigram National Park, which is 22 kilometers from Srinagar in Jammu and Kashmir. So that's the main habitat, not the Great Himalayan National Park. So you can see that out of this, only 3 would be correct. Let's have another question. They have asked you many questions on insect. And one insect is very much in the news these days. And that insect is termite. See, which one of the following statement is incorrect? The queen termite is the longest living insect. The queen termite is one of the biggest emitter of methane gas. Termites account for 1 to 3% methane emission globally, and methanogenic microorganisms are present in the waste product of termites. I give you the correct answer. What do you think? The correct answer is what? D. The queen termite definitely is the longest living insect. If they ask you in UPSC which is the longest living insect, it is the queen termite. And it lives for up to 50 years. The queen termite can live. Queen termite is one of the biggest emitter of methane gas. Certainly, termites are emitter of methane gas, and they account for 1 to 3% of total methane emission globally. Queen termite is one of the biggest emitter of methane gas. That's also true. All the 3 statements are, but incorrect is what? And how they would be called as emitters of methane gas. Why? Because they break down cellulose, because of which methane is emitted. So in the gut of the termite, methanogenic bacteria is present. It's not present in the waste product. Gut. And these are responsible for breaking down the cellulose, and because of which methane would be emitted. Because of this, methane is emitted. So when they are entering the plant and animal matter, the cellulose which is present there would be broken down by the termites, and that's why methane would be emitted. And remember that 1 to 3% of methane emission comes from. And another thing, if suppose, another thing about termite, there are wood termites, there are sand termites, there are also fungus termites, So wood termites emit less of methane gas, but sand termites and fungus termites, which is present on the fungus, they would be emitting more and more of methane gas. So a very interesting question it can be, and asked in, maybe it can be asked in UPSC sometimes. Let's see the last question for today. Consider the following, just like they have asked you in your previous preliminary examination, just like that I have framed a question. Hummingbird, terns, gulls, kestrels. How many of the above mentioned species of birds remain in the air without forward motion? See, the correct answer is what? The correct answer is all. It's not only hummingbirds. Hummingbird, everybody knows that it has a helicopter-like flight because the wings are adapted for not only forward movement but also backward movement, upward movement, downward movement, sideways movement. And true hovering can be seen in hummingbirds only. Terns, they can remain stationary in air for a shorter period of time. Gulls can adjust their wings for this purpose, and that also for a short, adapt their wings for this purpose, and that is also for a shorter period of time. And also the kestrels can do that. So, but true hovering would be conducted only and only by hummingbirds. Although all of these species, they can remain in the air without a forward motion, but for a shorter period of time. Now, just remember that we are starting the environment module from 14th January. So questions like this, hundreds and hundreds of questions like this would be covered up in the module with 50 hours of class, daily objective test, BYQs of 10 years, current affairs based on environment, last 18 months, and you can register yourself calling me at 989-171-5769. It's very less, a mere 4,000 rupees would be charged for 50 hours of class. That would be helpful for removing the hurdle of environment in preliminary examination. Thank you so much.